Okay, so again, I am going to record this lesson. I won't do too much because the attendance today is pretty low here, but this is a really easy section. And if you are here today, excuse me, this is actually pretty straightforward because I have good news. This is very much like your formula, what do we call it? Functional groups. I am going to give you a sheet on your final exam that tells you how to name, aromatic compounds. So this is an important section. Well, I guess not really that important. It will cover a couple of practice names that you guys will have to do. So let me get started. I'm going to kind of explain how this works. Yeah, and then that's it. I mean, we'll pretty much finish chapter 4 today because chapter 4 is so small. So on Monday's class, we're going to start my favorite unit of all time, unit 5. Okay, so many important chemical compounds are derived from benzene. Now, what I mean by saying derived from benzene is they have aromatic rings. That's all I really mean. Aromatic rings. Just remember last class we learned aromatic rings are rings that look like this. Sometimes in different books or websites, they draw it like this. An aromatic or benzene ring is a 6-carbon ring, so cyclohexane, but it has double bonds on every second carbon. So a benzene derivative is a very fancy way of saying it's a benzene ring with different things on it. Could be functional groups like alcohols or aldehydes, or I shouldn't say aldehydes, I should say ketones. Could have carboxylic acids. And the good news for you guys is you do not need to memorize these. Okay, maybe before I even get into this, I'll show you what I mean. What I mean by that, you don't have to memorize this. Let me find that note first. I gotta try and find it. Functional group, here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. This is another sheet that I will give you on your final exam, just like your functional group sheet. Let me open up your functional groups too. I'll kind of show you both of them. So can you see, if you can see my page right now, this is your functional group sheet that you guys got from test number 1. And if I go to the other sheet, it looks very much the same, doesn't it? Like they don't look very different. It's because it's from the same company, Compound Interest or Compound Chemistry. And these are benzene derivatives in organic chemistry. These are fancy chemicals that have a benzene ring in them. So you don't really need to memorize anything. You just need to know how to find your benzene derivative from this list. So let's go through the important ones. And before you guys leave today, I will check off the ones that you need to know. And now when I say need to know, you do not need to memorize this. This will be given on your final exam. You don't need to memorize this, but I'll show you which chemicals are important. Okay, so first things first, the simple derivatives, what we call them, the alkyl derivatives. Alkyl, that's a weird word to say, alkyl, I don't know if I'm saying it right. But alkyl derivatives are benzene rings that have carbon groups off of them, not necessarily functional groups, like no oxygens or nitrogens or sulfurs. They have carbon groups. So methylbenzene, for example, is a methyl group sticking off of a benzene ring. Now, the common name, and you guys are all chemical engineer students, You will hear about this chemical 100%, toluene. We've used it in the lab. Um, it's a good solvent in the engineering or industrial chemistry field. Toluene is used as a solvent to dissolve hydrocarbons. So toluene or methylbenzene. The systematic name, guys, or IUPAC, is here in the small text, and the bold big text on top is kind of the common name. I will take either or on a final exam. I don't care what you call it, as long as you call it one of those two names, methylbenzene or toluene, cumene or isopropylbenzene. These are good examples. Very easy. If again, I would give you a picture of one of these on your final, and you would just have to tell me the name. Ethylbenzene, pretty simple. It doesn't have a common name. You'll notice that the common name and the systematic name are the same. And then styrene, this is a good one. Styrene is an important one for polymers, which we don't really talk about in this course, but you could use styrene to make polystyrene, which is a polymer. All right, so though, again, I'm going a little quick because you don't need to memorize these. I will give you this in your data booklet. Halogen derivatives, even easier. If you put a fluorine there, it's fluorobenzene. A chlorine, chlorobenzene. Bromine, bromobenzene, and iodine, iodobenzene. Again, you don't need to memorize these. I will give you this in your data book for your final. Okay, let's look at some more like more complicated derivatives, the oxygen-based derivatives. These are definitely good to know. We have phenol. The IUPAC name would be hydroxybenzene, but most people call this phenol. We have benzoic acid. So this is a carboxylic acid attached to a benzene ring. So this would be benzoic acid, or systematically, you could call this the benzene carboxylic acid. I typically stick with the common names when I do this up top, but you again, you can use whatever name you want. This is one of my favorites. I like the name of this one. What if we took an aldehyde and stuck it to a benzene group? Well, benzaldehyde, right? I love that name. It's such like a good combination of the two words, benzene and aldehyde, benzaldehyde. What if you made it a ketone? This would be acetophenone. Again, this if I didn't give you this sheet on your exam, this would be very hard because you would have to memorize like 10 or 20 different names. But all you need to do is to be able to point them out and write the name from your data book. I say data booklet. You guys actually don't get a data booklet in this course. You guys will just get 2 pieces of paper on your final exam. So on your final, you will get this piece of paper, and you will get this piece of paper, functional groups and benzene derivatives. So it's pretty straightforward. And again, that's kind of why I'm going a little fast through this, because there's nothing to really teach here, just that you guys need to find these in your data sheet. Okay, I got one more type of derivatives, like a nitrogen, and then we're going to get into the little challenging part where we have 2 groups on them, and then that's basically it today. If I can get to slide 17, I'll be happy man today. Okay, so nitrogen-based derivatives. Again, not much to say here. If you have an amine attached to a nitrogen group, it would be called aniline or aminobenzene. If you had an NO2 attached, this is a nitro group, by the way, a group we haven't really talked about. We would call this nitrobenzene. This is a nitrile group here. If you had this on a benzene ring, it would be benzonitrile. And then if you had an amide or amide, it would be called benzamide or benzamide, or yeah, I mean, that's like the common name and the systematic name. So honestly, and I really hope you guys are okay with this. I am going a little fast because it's just, you guys need to be able to find this in your data sheet. That's really all you need to do. Now, there is one catch. There's one trick to this. A lot of benzene groups don't just have one thing on them. They might be di-substituted, meaning they have two groups sticking off the chain. And these are technically called, these dimethyl derivatives, they call them xylenes. And this is also on your data sheet. And you're lucky that this is on your data sheet. And I'll kind of explain why in a few minutes. When you have two groups on a benzene or aromatic ring, you have to tell me where those groups are. There are three options for where these groups could be, okay? So what are the three options? They could be right next to each other, meaning on the first and second carbon. Now, if you guys had to name this a month ago, it's pretty easy. It would be like if this was cyclohexane, you would call this one. I'm on this chemical here, by the way, the left one. If you had to call this back in chapter 2, you would call this 1,2-dimethyl cyclohexane. All right. This one over here, we would go 1, 2, 3. So you would call this 1,3-dimethyl cyclohexane. Again, I'm talking about chapter 1. If you did this one, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So this would be 1,4-dimethyl. You get the idea. So when you stick them to a benzene ring, you just change the name. It would be 1,2-dimethylbenzene, 1,3-dimethylbenzene, or 1,4-dimethylbenzene. Now, again, you do not need to memorize any of this. This is straight up right here, right? You don't need to memorize this. That's why I'm going a little fast. However, what I want to explain to you, right? I'll even zoom in so you can see it, right? It's here. You don't need to memorize it. But what I want to explain is, let me go back to my notes. There are common names or other words that chemists use to describe their locations on the benzene ring. 1, 2, they call ortho. 1, 3, they call meta, and 1, 4, they call para. Now, you do not need to memorize that. It's straight from your data sheet. I will accept either or. You could call this ortho, meta, para. I had a student last winter who would only use ortho, meta, or para. You guys are more than welcome to just use 1, 2, 1, 3, or 1, 4. Like it's up to you. Like I don't care what names you use. As long as it's one of these names, I am a happy person. So let's practice. I got some examples here that are already done, and then we will practice. I got 4 practice problems, and then that's it for today, basically. So this is just the text version of what I just said. Ortho meaning 1, 2, meta meaning 1, 3, and para meaning 1, 4. And you can even shorten that as O, M, and P. So O is 1, 2, M is 1, 3, and P is 1, 4. Again, you do not need to memorize this. All right, so let's practice. Let's look at this compound here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm combining two different compound or two different groups on this hydrocarbon. So what I recommend you do when you do these problems is name the main group and then tell me where the other guy is. Okay, so what am I talking about? I have my benzene ring, obviously, no problem there. But I have sticking off of that, I have a methyl group and I have a chloro group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name the base of this molecule. So what I mean is I'm going to look in my sheet for something that resembles this compound here. So, okay, let's go to my data book. Let's look at this together. So I'll go to my data booklet, clear my drawings here, and I notice a benzene ring with a methyl group we call toluene. So the base name of this compound here is toluene. Okay, so I'm almost done. I go back to my notes. So this is toluene. And okay, so I'm starting here, right? This is my number one functional group. I've named this toluene. Well, I notice on my second carbon, I have a chloro. So I could call this 2-chlorotoluene. It's a little challenging, but we're going to practice some more of this. So don't worry for the people who are here today. We will practice more of this. Now, you could also call this ortho chloromethylbenzene because it is 1,2. So you could call this ortho chloromethylbenzene, but the name in the brackets I would probably stick with here, this one here. Okay, let's do this again. So same thing. Let me pick a different color. We'll go green. So I'm going to circle this, making sure it includes one of my most important functional groups. Okay, so this functional group, what is this called? I don't know what this is called, so let's go find it. This, by the way, would be NH2. Okay, it's just the computer program I used for this didn't draw it really nice. So let's find this in my data booklet. So I'll go to my data book. It has a nitrogen, so let's go down to the nitrogens. It's not this one, it's not this one, it's not this one. Here it is. A benzene ring with an NH2 attached to it we call aniline. Again, I lean towards the bold name here. So aniline. Aniline. Okay, so let's go back. This is aniline. But I notice, so again, this would be my first carbon. But I notice on this compound, I have 1, 2, 3. On the third carbon, I have a chloro. So this would be called 3-chloroaniline. I didn't mean to put a hyphen there. So it's not that hard. It's a little bit challenging. These are, by the way, called di-substituted groups. Substituted? Did I substituted? I don't know if I spelled that right, but anyways, it looks weird. These are about as hard as they would ever get. Okay, let me show you one more, and then we'll practice, and that's it for today. All right, so again, now, there's a few ways that I could approach this compound, but what I recommend, okay, I think there might be a mistake there. What I recommend is naming the benzene derivative that has an oxygen or nitrogen in it. So I'm going to name this one first. Okay, so again, I don't know what it's called. Let's go look. All right, so it looks like this one. Let me just see, actually. Let me just make sure. I'll go back. Yep, okay, so it is this one here. So I know that this functional group, or sorry, this benzene derivative is called nitrobenzene. That's what this guy's called. And actually, this is not a good name. This is the good name here. Okay, so this is called nitrobenzene. So if you were doing this on a test or a final exam, I should say, and you got nitrobenzene, you're good. Okay, or you're not good, but you get like most marks. The only thing I need to mention is that if this is the first carbon, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, on the fourth carbon, I have a methyl group. So this would be 4-methyl nitrobenzene, 4-methyl nitrobenzene. Not too bad. So the challenge here is naming the important group first. So like I would name this group first and then put on the second name there. So, what do I want to do? Okay, well, excuse me. This one is an easy one. This one, I don't even need my data booklet or my data sheet. This one is 1, 2, 3. So you would call this one 1,3 dibromobenzene. Okay, you could call this meta dibromobenzene. But honestly, guys, between me and you, I would stick with the numbers because the numbers are what we did in chapter 2, and chapter 3. So this one's a pretty straightforward one. This is 1,3-dibromobenzene. If these were methyl groups, it would be 1,3-dimethylbenzene, but it's not a methyl group. It's a bromo group. So 1,3-dibromobenzene. That's an easy one. This one on the right here is a little bit more challenging. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first name anything that has an oxygen or nitrogen, separate that and name that normal, or name that using your data booklet. So like, well, I know what this is. This is phenol, but how did I know that? Well, I go to my sheet here, clear my writing, and look, right here, a benzene ring with an alcohol on it is called phenol. So this is called phenol. Oops, let me write that again. I guess Naim isn't here today, but he mentioned the other day. I shouldn't care about my pen going crazy, but it secretly, it drives me nuts. So I always try and fix it. Okay. So, remember when we're numbering this, we start at the most important group, our functional group, OH in this case. So this would be carbon number 1. Okay, well, this carbon would then therefore be carbon number 2. So this would be 2-chloro. So to put the name together, this would just be 2-chlorophenol. So this means that I have a benzene ring with an alcohol on it. The alcohol would be the first carbon, and then the second carbon would be a chloro group, or a chlorine bond group, substituent. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. All right. Pretty quiet today, but again, there's only a couple people here. So for Sarah and Abdullah, thank you so much for being here. I have one more slide and then I'll stop for today. There's a couple more slides left, which I'll save for Monday's class, and then we'll get into chapter 5. So I'd like for you guys to practice this. How can I do this? Give me 1 second here. I'm going to try my best. Oh, I have an idea. Just give me 1 second. I got an idea to maybe give you guys a minute to try this. Okay, I'm just writing these down on a piece of paper. Okay, so here's what I'll do. I'm going to share this so you can all see it. This will be posted on your D2L if you guys want to print it off. I can also bring it to campus and put it outside my office. We'll go F11. Oh, sorry. Make sure I'm sharing my screen. We are almost done. Sorry, guys. I must be in a different. Oh, here we go. I just wanted it to be full screen. Okay. So the chemicals that I want you guys to name. Now, again, I don't know how big your computers are or your computer screen is, but I'll write them right here at the top. I want you guys to try to draw 2-chlorobenzoic acid. And I would like for you guys to try 4-bromotoluene. Okay, and I will mute myself. I know there's only 2 of you. You guys might want to do this, you might not, but I will mute myself for 2 minutes and I'll come back and we'll look at the answers. All right, so I'll be back in 2 minutes and then we're done for today. All right, so good luck. And if you have any questions, let me know. Well, yeah, let's go through our answers. So let me get my PowerPoints back open. Okay, well, actually, before I get my PowerPoint open, let's look at kind of the base of our molecules here. I know that I'm going to have to sketch benzoic acid, and then on the second carbon, put a chlorine. Benzoic acid is right here. So all you would do, guys, for this problem is you would sketch benzoic acid, and then on the second carbon, you would put a chlorine group. This one over here, this is toluene. So for toluene, I would sketch toluene, and on the fourth carbon, I would put a bromo group. So really, that's all I'm doing. So let's go back to my notes. Okay, so I'm going to draw first benzoic acid. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my benzene ring. Benzoic acid looks like this. And then on the second carbon, 1, 2, I would draw a chlorine group. So I'll go back to red, Cl. That's it. That is 2-chlorobenzoic acid. I mean, this looks like a crazy name, but it's actually not that bad to draw it if you have the data sheet. All right, so let's do the next one. Toluene is just methylbenzene, guys. It doesn't matter where you put the double bonds in the ring. So there's toluene, and on the fourth carbon, I put a bromine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, bromine. There we go. That's it. Done. Halas, easy. Nothing too crazy. So I guess that's it for today. We'll finish this chapter on Monday, and then get into chapter 5. And when I say we're going to finish this chapter on Monday, I mean this will take me like 4 minutes to do, because it's just a couple slides, and then we'll get into chapter 5. All right, guys, so that's it for today. I hope you guys are healthy and good. I hope you guys didn't get COVID. And if you did, stay safe, wash your hands, wear a mask. I got tested on Monday, and I'm still waiting for my results. I wasn't at risk. It's just they made all staff get tested. So hopefully I find out soon. Anyways, so that's it for me. Have a great day, a great weekend, and I'll see you guys soon.